And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the Outlaw Sports Network. This is another episode of UnHinged. Today, it's just me, Randall Beatley, your host, and another guy on the other side of the screen over there, Cody
Looking
Montanaro.
fly, man. Looking fly today.
um, so today's topic is the brand new grand announcement. Vince McMahon launched yesterday at around 3 p.m. That, well, everyone's been talking about since then. And that is that after 17 years of contemplating, he is finally bringing back the XFL. So the first question is in one word, only one word. Explain your thoughts. How would you, if you had one word to explain Vince bringing back the XFL, what would it be and why would it be that word?
There's two different ways I can go about this, and but I think the best word for it is opportunity. The second word was money, but well, XFL really exactly didn't draw a lot and lost a lot of money 17 years ago or 16 years ago. It's definitely got to be opportunity. Vince said in his press conference yesterday that he has had this idea pitch for years and ever since the XFL of yesteryear folded. And I believe this is with any millionaire, billionaire, or trillionaire, thousandaire, whatever you want to call it, that's an entrepreneur and a businessman. If you have a business and a project that fails, those stick with you more than your successes because as a businessman, you want to succeed at everything. And so I'm sure after the XFL folded in 02 or whatever it was, or 01, that he wanted to try again, and it just had to wait for the right opportunity and the right time to do it. And so definitely has to be opportunity.
Well, other than you stealing my word, I was going to say opportunistic. I'll pick another word though. I would say it's opportunistic because of the losing numbers of the NFL rating of the fan who just wants football and sports. I would say to not be political as the NFL has become. And I think there's a lot of fans out there who are disappointed after it folded. And so I think that those fan bases can, and I think it's also an opportunity for other cities who don't have professional sports teams to get those fans a little bit more excited. But I'll pick another word, and I would say obvious. I mean, it's kind of obvious this was going to happen. I think just he chose the right time to do it. With, like I said, the declining ratings of the NFL, and then his good old buddy in the White House, sort of causing a war with the NFL, and then his wife being in the cabinet. So I'm sure he didn't really talk to Trump much about bringing it back, but I think it's perfect around the time. I mean, I think he chose the right time to do it. It's been some time for him to think about what he did wrong and how he can fix it.
Yeah, I mean, there's the second word that I had for it was money, and like I said, maybe that wasn't the great word because XFL lost everything in a year, and Vince lost a lot of money on that project. But I think it's the fact of you always want to make more money, and the NFL is losing money, so this is a good opportunity to gain money for Vince and for his business enterprises, especially with the XFL, to maybe take some of the NFL's money that they're losing and put into their pockets, so to speak, because this is a lot of things that Vince is doing this time around that hopefully doesn't repeat the XFL of 2001. he's taking a lot more precaution and pre-measures before this league ever gets started and kicks off. And he's just doing a whole bunch of more things that he learned from the previous one to not repeat as a failure for this one. Even if it does fail, if it lasts past a year, that's already a success because the first one only lasted a year. So, but yeah, like I said, he's got some opportunity here, and he's got some good opportunity to make some money with this. And I'm excited. I'm actually excited for him. We'll see how it goes.
All right. So we'll go into the details we know from Vince's press conference yesterday. So what we do know is there will be 8 teams to start, and all the teams will be owned by the league, not franchised. A 10-game regular season, a 4-team playoff, so it'll be about 13 games with the playoffs. It'll start around late January and will end about mid to late April if it's 13 consecutive weeks. They might throw in a bye week. We don't know the schedule completely. We do know Vince has said that any player with a criminal record will not be able to play, and that there will be no the old XFL was very gimmicky, and so he says he's going to remove the gimmicks. It's not going to be the sort of extreme it used to be, and that in no way possible will this ever be associated with WWE, and that XFL is part of Alpha Entertainment, whereas WWE is its own entity. So the first question is, what is your opinion about the rule of not having a criminal record, even something as minor as a DUI, which could and will eliminate players like Johnny Manziel from playing, and the also rumored rule of Vince saying this is my company and all players must stand for the anthem, which would potentially eliminate someone like Colin Kaepernick or someone who feels politically led to protest. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, it is his own company. It's his own thing. So, I mean, if he can lay the ground rules as to what he wants it to do, I think it's great that he's addressing those things now, so that way they don't flare up on the field. Sports are supposed to be entertaining. They're supposed to give us a break from reality, for facing problems. If we're going through anything, sports gives us a couple hours to forget all that and just enjoy the game and enjoy the entertainment aspect of it. And that's why the NFL has just been so much in turmoil the past couple of years. It's because so many political things have been brought into it, and whether or not you're a supporter of Trump, as a president, I think politics should be out of sports and sports should be out of politics. And when it gets mainstream news, when you're president of your own country is kind of infiltrating his thing into it, it just doesn't look good from an outsider's perspective. So I'm glad that they're establishing those ground rules now. That listen, there's going to be none of that crap going on. You're standing for the anthem. It's a time-honored tradition, as Vince said in his press conference yesterday, multiple times. And let's just set that ground rule now. You're standing for the anthem. Everybody else does it in every other sport. It's a time-honored tradition thing. There's no politics brought into it. Just stand for the anthem. If you have your own opinion, which everybody does, of political aspects or your view on the country, whatever the case may be, you have your right to say it off the field. I think that with anybody that's in a professional setting, whether it's a celebrity, entertainer, movie star, singer, sports figure, you have a bigger, more powerful voice than a regular, ordinary citizen in the country. So you get to lay out and have those chances to speak on a more open and more public space to do that. However, the football field, the hockey rink, the wrestling ring, the basketball court, it's not the time to do that. whenever you're doing interviews off the court, off the field, at your own personal, expense, then yes, feel free to tell me what you feel about the country, feel about the president, even if I don't agree with it. It's your opinion. You have a right to do it. The best case in point that I can bring out to that is, you seem a little interested into this too. Let's say, for example, with your job and my job, I'm sure in our contracts it states that we're not supposed to have any political aspirations or beliefs or spiritual, protesting, something like that, that can, infect or infiltrate our business or our jobs, and we would be fired from doing that. If I were to go to my job tomorrow and start a protest on not singing for the national anthem, not supporting Trump, whatever the case may be, even if a lot of people would agree with me because I'll be down in Center City, Charlotte, so I'm sure a lot of people would agree with that. But public storage would find that out, and I would be fired because it's said to my contract I'm supposed to stick to business things, business practices during business hours. Out of business hours, do whatever you want. So that's just the way I see it. Good to get those ground rules out of the way. Let them laid out. If people don't like them, they don't like them. They don't have to play with them. And, that's your choice. But especially with the background, too. I know I'm going on here, but the background with the criminal thing, that's even better. Get that out of the way. It's supposed to be a family fun, entertaining, fast-paced, overall exciting, entertaining game that's going back to the fans. So Vince has got a good idea going. He's got the right principles in mind, and I think the initial ground layout is looking pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that if you want to protest, again, like you said, it is your right. But if it was like, let's just say like the NFL is a public, the NFL is technically a religion. If you look at its tax codes, because it's their religion. But the NFL is a private company. NFL actually is public, but every individual team, since they're franchised, are private companies, and the owners make the rules. Whereas Vince's league, the XFL, all the teams are owned by the XFL. So Vince says, hey, you work for me no matter what team you play for, so the rules are this. And because it's a private business, he has the right to do that. If you don't want to work for him, you don't work for him. You go find another job. And so I think, whereas I don't think a lot of football teams, a lot of owners have really thought about putting that in their contracts, because it wasn't a problem until 2 years ago. And so for Vince I think it's a smart move for him to say, hey, these are the rules. We got 2 years before we even start. You know the rules. You got 2 years to understand, read the rules. If you don't follow them, you're out of the league. And I think the whole criminal thing, everyone's complaining because it bans Manziel from playing, where someone like Tim Tebow can get in. Again, it's Vince's company. It sort of raises the question: is talent or more important than behavior? And to me, if you're not a role model to your fans and the kids and everyone who's going to look up to you, your talent means nothing. And so someone like the Walter Payton Award NFL does, those type of people, we want those type of people to continue playing football, not someone like Josh Gordon who gets suspended 4 times and has to be reinstated because he continues doing the same things he got suspended the last time. And I think it also it clears the brand itself from having to deal with bad press, to where let's just take Vince's other company with the whole Enzo situation. If he did it or not, I don't think he did, but let's just say he did do it. Even if he didn't, it's still bad press for WWE. The company looks bad, and they have it in their clause. You got to be of moral character and report any investigations on you, and that's why he got fired. But we can clear that up other times. Back to the XFL. So yeah, I think it's a good move on Vince's part, just because to me behavior is more important than how good you can play. Because again, if it's just like you use the example of your job, or just say with my job, if I get arrested and I show up and they try to move me to management, and then they find it on my background check, hey, we see you got arrested. How come you didn't report it to us? We don't need this type of person working in our company. And again, it's a company thing, and it's Vince's company, so he gets to do whatever he wants to do, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And fans just need to get over, man. If you want to see Manziel, just tell him to go to Canada. They'll accept him happily.
It's a job. You're playing football. You're getting paid for it.
And if you don't want to do Canada, if you don't want to move up there, we got like 12,000 different arena football leagues. And so again, another question is Vince's idea of completely separating WWE from the XFL, is that a good move to you? What, if so, why? And if not, why do you think it's a bad move?
So I think it's a good idea and a good move to not be associated with a company at all. Even though people are going to say, Vince McMahon, owner of XFL, chairman of XFL, owner of WWE, it's just going to be synonymous because Vince owns it. Yeah. But having its own identity is what it needs to have. It doesn't need to have the wrestling factor into it, because if we had that into it, people wouldn't take it as seriously. People would look at XFL and be like, okay, well, this is kind of like WWE. I know what WWE is. It's predetermined, so you must mean that these games are predetermined or whatever, something like that, and it would just be silly and weird. And so the XFL having its own brand, own identity, no crossover between the two companies Vince owns is a great idea. The only issues that I would have with it, I've seen that Vince says is that the games, and I've looked at their website, says that the games would be held on Sundays. Great, cool, that's awesome. That's taking place of the NFL. Doing it in late January through early to mid-April, it's a small enough season, but at the same time, baseball's starting back up in February with spring training, but not many people watch that, so it's not really a big deal. MLB starts towards, I believe, March, April-ish. So that's okay. That's a good thing. You're not really messing up MLB schedule. NASCAR starts coming back in early February. So for about a month, you've got to deal with the NASCAR crowd, even though NASCAR, maybe the ratings aren't that good and whatever. As a fan of NASCAR, I would be like, listen, I love NASCAR and I have a favorite driver. I'm going to watch NASCAR every chance I get. Now, I would be willing to give the XFL a chance. I'm not saying that I won't ever watch XFL, but at the same time, it's like, if I'm watching an XFL game and I don't really have a team yet, and I just want to watch it just to see what it's like and maybe find a team that I like or something like that. However, my driver's leading with 10 laps to go, even though my driver's done that before and has blown the race continuously. I'm going to watch NASCAR just for the fact that I have a favorite driver and I'm more synonymous with NASCAR. Not to say that I wouldn't have a chance with the XFL. That's where the good thing of the end of the NFL ending is right when late January. So it gives you 2 to 3 weeks to kind of watch the XFL, maybe get a favorite team, maybe just like the game, watch it for the fun aspect of it, and then, be okay with that. Other thing is that it's, shorter game. He's looking at 2 to 2.5 hours for a game, which is a lot less than an NFL game. So you can watch an XFL game and then have a chance to watch the end of a NASCAR race if it's a Sunday afternoon. So that's also a good thing about it. The other big thing that I have regarding the schedule and stuff like that is if it's on Sundays, are they ever going to have a night game? The same night that there's a WWE pay-per-view. How is that going to work?
It's like you read my mind.
especially if it's early April. There's a big
Yeah.
event that goes on in early April, and you know,
I
as
think
some
it's
question said,
called.
I'm surprised.
I think it's called
Sorry,
Wrestle Kingdom. It's called Wrestle Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one question that I'm surprised nobody asked yesterday on the press conference. I'm not sure Vince actually mentioned that the games would be held on Sunday. Maybe he did. I know it mentioned on the website. So that's a question that I would, as a fan of WWE and watching your pay-per-views, Vince, what's your timeline here? Are we having games at 1 and 4? Are we having games at just 1, 12, 3, 4? Is there any night games? Are there going to be any Saturday night games to help prevent that schedule conflict with WWE? And I know that I'm sure wrestling fans are first going to give this much a chance because it's Vince and they're going to help try to support Vince if they like him. I know I will. At the same time, if you're just trying to get generic football fans to watch this, that's going to be hard enough to do as it is because you have to say, oh, here's a new football league. It's not the NFL. Maybe I'll give this a chance. But at the same time, it's like, well, if it's not going to draw their interest, I don't know. I just feel like it from my perspective that a lot of the first few weeks of it are going to be wrestling fans watching it. Maybe quite a few sports fans to check it out and see what it's like. But then after that, it's like, what's your actual fan base going to be? Mostly wrestling fans, mostly actually sports fans, combination. So I'd be interested to see all of that.
Absolutely. So I think it's a good move to separate because the old XFL was sort of combined with WWE, and so a lot of, I would say, your casual football fans sort of associated it, and I mean, it's still going to be associated with WWE just because it's Vince McMahon's league, but I think the whole not having a kickoff sort of thing, the way they started the games with the old league, and the more the actual talent for WWE got involved with the games at halftime and stuff like that, I think it just felt like it was more of a staged event than it is a football league, and it was more of sort of like a movie type thing that you were watching, and that again you weren't getting quality players, and they really had like 6 months to prepare for everything once the teams got assigned and everything. So I mean, they really didn't have a lot going for them anyway, but I think it's a good move to get to sort of draw a line and say, hey, look, these are two separate companies. And I like the part. Someone asked a question in the press conference asking, would you be on the field? Would you? How much are you going to be involved on screen for the XFL? And Vince's answer was like, today is probably the last time you'll see me on camera. He'll play back behind the scenes. That's way different than the old league because he was on screen as much as he possibly could. And he also said he'll also continue his day-to-day activities with WWE Creative. So I feel a lot of fans are hoping, hey, he's going to run this. He'll give WWE over to Triple H, but it's not happening. At least not now. But so some other differences that I saw that are going to happen is, I think he said he's going to try to get rid of the whole idea of having cheerleaders on the team because they're not necessary, and he wants the fans to enjoy the football and not anything outside of it. Do you agree with this? Are they useful? I mean, it's one.
Well, it adds a different dynamic to a team that I can agree with. They usually do halftime shows, and Vince has said that he wants to kind of do away with halftime potentially. So cheerleaders are used for maybe like breaks during the game and as well as halftime. Well, if you're getting rid of halftime, you're limiting really them doing much.
Yeah.
And as much as they get paid, from what I've heard in the NFL, it's pretty crappy. So I would imagine the XFL probably wouldn't give them a whole lot more, maybe the same, if not probably less. So I don't really care about the cheerleader aspect. You know, if you're a cheerleader and you have a job, you know, and you're proud of it, you know, great, good for you. At least you have a job. It's something to do. And if you have the talent to do it, you know, more power to you. I just don't think that it's necessary, especially for Vince's league. I think during the NFL, it's because they have a halftime, they perform halftime shows, they help do halftime shows, they do breaks in between, you know, the play, commercial breaks or whatever. The only time that the cheerleaders would have something to do would be during the breaks for the XFL. But Vince has said, you know, it's mainly going to be all about the fans, the media, the players, the coaches, the staff, the medical team. If they want shorter breaks, they'll work to see what they can do about shorter breaks. No halftime, so you're limiting what a cheerleader does during her work day, essentially. So, you know, if they're not going to get paid very, very well and there's not much for them to do, just cut it out.
Yeah. It's the whole cheerleader issue is when Vince said they are not necessary, I agreed to a point. I don't think we really need them. They're there to try to get the crowd to, you know, do certain cheers, and I think we're already. If you're there to cheer on your team, you're going to cheer with or without them. And I think they're just part of. I guess they're just tradition to keep them. I don't really think teams need them. I don't pay attention to them, to be honest, when I watch games. So, I don't. Yeah, like you said, for the XFL, I don't think they're needed just because I think Vince is worried more about on-field performance than anything else outside of it, and so, if that's his main focus, then I just feel this would be a right move. It'll save him money from having to hire cheerleaders who wouldn't be utilized the way the NFL utilizes them. So, so Vince also said that every city in the United States is being market researched as a potential host city for a team. I'm assuming he'll, as the next year of 2018 passes, he'll give us more info on what cities he's looking into and start lowering down the list. But he's also saying that cities with NFL teams are also being researched. So do you think having a city like New York or Los Angeles, which have multiple NFL franchises, will have any effect on these NFL franchises at all if they also have an XFL team? And if so, how? And if not, why do you think that?
That's a tough one. While I think in a way it's important to have a team in those big markets like a New York, like a Los Angeles, a Chicago, a Dallas, you know, St. Louis, Florida. I would love to see just teams and cities that have never had a major professional sports team play there. Myrtle Beach would be cool. Wilmington would be cool. Richmond, Memphis, Tennessee would be a cool place. You know, Louisville, Kentucky, places like that where maybe they don't have or maybe one professional sports team, whether it be the Milwaukee Bucks. I know they have the Admirals there, but they're not a top tier professional team like an NHL type thing. Giving chances to cities that may not have it just to see if it would succeed would be great. And then the other little kink that I would think would be a problem would be, let's say you have a team in the NFL, or a team that's in a city of an NFL team, a Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, whatever. Let's say they make it to the playoffs. Yes, your playoff series, the AFC or NFC championship game, would be over by the time you would start. That's fine. But if those fans in those cities that already have a NFL team are going to the Super Bowl, they're going to be paying tickets to go to the Super Bowl, not to watch an XFL team play, for at least that week. And then they may pay attention more of just their team and not really care about the other XFL team. If they're already season ticket holders of an NFL team, I doubt they're probably going to want to do the XFL season ticket thing because they've already spent enough money on one team. They don't want to do it on another, whatever. It would help for the fact that they would have a field, they would have a field to be able to play in, which would be fine. I've heard Vince say that he's not objective to using a baseball stadium if it's there and presented and useful and can be used. But I just think there's just a lot of things that would be having to look at. And if the team in a city doesn't have an NFL team, you're going to use a college football stadium, or are you going to use I would doubt you would probably want to use money and funds to build a stadium, especially now that you have 2 years to go, unless you name the team the next week and it gives them a year and a half to build this stadium. That's something he's not interested in. So I'm assuming it's got to be a team that's either got a college football field that would be used or a NFL stadium that can be used. Whereas baseball, that to me, like I said, it's going to start infiltrating close to the beginning of the MLB season. So I don't know how that would work out as far as scheduling would go, but I'd say you would probably have to at least put a one team or two into the big markets, maybe in LA and in New York, maybe in Chicago, a Dallas, somewhere in Florida, something like that. But I would try to get as many non-big market teams that may have never had an NFL or maybe never had a professional team or only have maybe one professional team in that city that they can also sink their teeth into and want to go out and watch or something like that.
Absolutely. To me, I think the only benefit of having an NFL team in a city is, like you said, the field. And I think for NFL franchises, they could see it as a way to make extra money royalty-wise for the use of the stadium, though not many of the actual teams own the stadiums. I know the Panthers will whenever they get the new owner, but there's very few owners who actually own the stadium. So I don't think there's any benefit of having, let's just say New York, you have the Giants, you got the Jets, you got Buffalo. So the state's already sort of separated in the NFL. And if you just throw in that extra team there, I don't think it's fair to other cities who have sports fans like a Birmingham, Alabama, who just haven't. I mean, outside of Alabama football, what do they have to cheer for? I do think New York gets a team just because I think that area is sort of sacred to Vince. Just with he's basically lived up north most of his adulthood after graduating from East Carolina. And then his headquarters are up there. So I think New York's probably going to be a lock. LA probably, I don't know. But I think big market cities aren't necessary at the moment. But as terms of how they affect the franchises, I don't think they'll have much effect at all towards NFL franchises. So the next question is not really a question. It's more of a game. It's going to be fun. Trying to have fun here. All right,
Oh
so
boy.
I call it pick three. So you got to pick three cities. One of them's a city you think is guaranteed to have a team. One of the cities is a city you really, really want that you hope gets a team. And then one is a city you think has a shot, but it's a very long shot of getting an XFL team.
All right, so it's one city that I think is a definite that's going to get a team, and then the other two are what?
One of them's a city that you personally, maybe it's a bias or whatever, you want to see get a team. And then the last one is a city that has a shot, but a very long shot of getting a team.
So it's a city that I think would definitely get one is definitely got to be a Miami. If I'm going with just one, I probably would say New York or LA, or Miami or Chicago. I know it's just listed four, but it's one of those four definitely. A city that I would be biased to that I think should get one would either be Charlotte, just because I would at least go and watch them if I ever had the time and were off work or something. Or I'd love to see Myrtle Beach have one, just because they've never had a professional. People like to determine the definition of what a professional team is. Yeah, there is a minor league professional baseball team in Myrtle Beach, Pelicans, but there's not a big tiered market. NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, basic pro team in that market. So I'd love to see Myrtle Beach get one, something like that, or Wilmington, or like I said, Charlotte. And a city that I think has a long shot, but has a shot of getting one. Memphis, I think, has a long shot, but has a chance because they don't have, besides the Grizzlies, they've never had a professional sporting team there like that. Louisville would be another team, another city that I think could do that. Maybe a Raleigh. They could definitely do it at Carter Finley Stadium, and that would actually be a pretty good area. If you're not looking to do an NFL size, if you don't think you're going to get that kind of crowd, Carter Finley holds, 30, 40,000, almost 50,000. Yeah. That's a pretty good sample, and you can get maybe 15 to 20,000 if you're lucky. You can get that into there. Maybe this may sound weird. Maybe Connecticut, somewhere close to WWE's headquarters. That'd be kind of interesting. You could put out maybe UConn's football stadium or something. And if you're looking to really outside the box, looking for an area that just never really had a professional team, Idaho, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota.
I'm not looking to play in cornfields here.
Nebraska. Yeah, you're looking for those people up there that have really never had sports over there. That besides college sports, maybe, or very low tier professional sporting things. That'd be interesting to see them have a shot at something like that.
All right, so for me, the city that thinks a guarantee, I'm going to go with San Antonio. I think that's 100% guaranteed. They have the market for it. Dallas and Houston sort of surround it with all the professional sports. They got a football team in Houston. They got a basketball team in Houston. They got a baseball team in Houston. Dallas, the Cowboys are actually in Arlington, which I think are where the Rangers play. So the Dallas, Arlington, Austin region has the Mavericks and the Cowboys and the Rangers. In Houston, like I said, the Rockets and the Texans and the Astros. And then in between, you got San Antonio, which has the Spurs, and that's it. And so I think, again, they have the market, and I think Vince will recognize we got some really good sports fans here. I think the one thing that scares me about San Antonio is they're going to make them gray and black, and we got to avoid that because all the San Antonio organizations, like the Spurs, G League team, and the WNBA team in San Antonio, they're all gray and black. We just got to avoid that. It's kind of creepy.
I mean, if you're looking for San Antonio, they have the Alamo Dome there, so
yeah.
And,
Vince does. Vince does like that city. So, I think a team a city I really want to have a team. It's pretty obvious. Has to be Boston. Um,
you just say bias, so that is bias. You're right.
And if it's not Boston, I mean, I don't. There's not really a football field in Boston. I mean, you can use Boston College. I mean, you can use Fenway if need be. But I think again, we got some pretty decent fans up there who love football, and though they are very picky, they don't like losing. So, they will definitely jump off the team, like a lot of Boston fans have done to the Bruins here recently. But hey, they're Bruins fans again because we're on a 17-point winning streak. So, and then the city, I think, is a long shot. I think the city that deserves a team, and I'm actually down between two, and that's Seattle and Oklahoma City, just because I think while Seattle has the Seahawks and they had the Sonics at one point, and I think they're rumored to get an NHL team, maybe. I still think that the market for football is there. And, I mean, outside of the Seahawks, they really don't have anything to cheer for. And even with the Seahawks, they don't have much to cheer for. And then Oklahoma City, they got the Thunder, and that's it. And so just sort of like San Antonio, that they got the crowd, they got the market. They just don't have any interest from other leagues. And so I think it would be a good city to put a team in. And so final question about the XFL is, do you consider the XFL as a league in competition with the NFL? If so, why? And if not, why not?
I don't think it's a direct competition. I think it's that makes any sense. It's a filler for the time that once the NFL is starting to dwindle down and people are getting bored with the NBA because it's in the middle of the season, not a whole lot of excitement there until you're like towards the middle of the season of the NHL, where unless you're diehard passionate fans, you're going to be watching those games and those teams. Or if you're getting kind of bored with the middle of the season, you're looking for something new to start up. Like I said, NASCAR doesn't start until like the middle of February. Baseball doesn't truly start until the end of March, early March, April. So CFL doesn't start again until June, July. Nobody cares about the indoor football leagues. And like I said, the NFL's winding down. So it's just a perfect schedule alignment to where it's not going to be, messing up a whole lot of things. Like I said, with the NHL and NBA fans, I love hockey. I love my team. I give away the regular season because I already know we're going to the playoffs most of the time. So I'm just trying to find something else to watch. And because I don't live in the markets where I get my team every single night, that I could watch them. So I think that it's just the schedule lines it really well. I don't think it's a direct competition. I think it's just a filler, but it's a good filler. It's a good way to get something different, get something to where people can just say, oh, I can actually watch a sport without having to worry about if political aspirations, protesting, or something negative besides the actual game is going to happen. So I think that it'll be a good alternative to some of the sports that are already going on in mid-season, like the NBA and the NHL. But it's there's a couple other questions that I would have for the XFL. I'll wait till you get your response and maybe ask those. But I think it's just more of a filler, honestly, and it makes sense.
I'll agree. I'll use another C word. It's not competition, but it's a compliment to the NFL.
I was looking for that word, but that's what I was looking for. But thank you. That's it.
So I think it'd be foolish for any league in the world, any football league ever, to compete with the NFL. I I'll say that for any entrepreneur who might come upon this, don't attack the giants in the industry. They'll be your competition, but don't go straight for them. So while yes, there may be that competitive margin, hey, we want to beat the NFL in ratings for our season. But I also think it would be foolish for them to say, hey, they start in September, we'll start in September, because they won't get the same amount of viewers as the NFL has. So because of the way they plan on scheduling it in between, really from the end of the NFL season, and it's going to end around the same time the NFL draft. So it does not interfere with the NFL at all. It's not competition to me that way. It's saying, hey, you're your own league, we're our own league. We don't want to steal your viewers. We want to share viewers and give those fans the opportunity to watch football year-round, as basketball does, as baseball does, as they have Winter League and even NASCAR. If you think about it, they're testing during the off season. So if you want to watch, I know you can get into Daytona when they do their tests sometimes. And soccer's year-round. Hockey, at least in Canada, is year-round. And so for American football fans who are college ends beginning of January, NFL ends beginning of February, we really don't have much to watch until July, August, September. And so we'll have something to actually fill up that space. And I think it's actually a good move the way they planned it out that way.
Yeah, for sure. My biggest thing, and I thought about this now as I was looking at it from what would interfere. So let's say the XFL lasts for a while. Actually does good, gets some more teams, revenue is pretty decent, and continues to fund for new seasons. Let's say we get to 2022. There's quite a big thing that happens in between February and March that could severely hurt it economically, viewership-wise, all that stuff. It'd be called the Olympics, Winter Olympics. Dead smack in the middle of the XFL season. If you still don't have that severely passionate fan base that's going to watch no matter what, like football, like the NFL, come to games, stuff like that. I know it's only for 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks, but that takes away almost 2 to 3 weeks worth of your season. That if you're playing just one day, a Sunday, and the Winter Olympics are going every single day, some people work when some of these events are going on. If they're off on the weekends, they're going to be watching those events because the Olympics are a very special entity itself, and where people are going to watch it no matter what, and millions and almost billions of people will watch this. So that's something you got to factor into it as well. That should this thing be successful in 4 years, when we get to 2022, it'll only be the third full year since. 2020 would be the first full year. 2021 would be the second. 2022 would be the third full year. That's going to be something that you're going to have to look into a whole bunch, and especially if you're on network cable television.
Yeah.
You're not going to be on NBC Universal, because they're taking over the Olympics. They always do. That's something that Vince, I think, is going to have to really look into and dive into, especially with whatever marketers that he is with and television companies he's with. They're going to be going, listen, that Olympics is coming around. That's going to really affect our business.
You make up a good point. It's not going to affect me at all because I don't watch the Olympics. I'll say it this way. Summer Olympics, I watch women's soccer, and that's it. Maybe some volleyball, but I don't care about the rest of the sports. Baseball's coming back, so I'll probably watch baseball. Winter Olympics, if it's not hockey, I don't care. I don't want to see you go down in the luge. I don't care how fast you can go down. I really don't. I don't care how good you can ski and shoot. I really don't. So if it's not hockey, and if it's not women's soccer, because men's soccer is completely gay.
Oh boy.
And maybe basketball. I'll watch basketball in the Summer Olympics.
Hold up. You're going to watch basketball, but you're not going to watch nothing else in the Winter Olympics. Basketball is the most boring, unattainable, unathletic. I'm just going to say unathletic. Most just non-competitive sport in summer. USA always wins. There's no competition, or very little.
You got France, you got Spain, you got Brazil.
In the last Australia. 10 years, how many of them has won a gold medal? Maybe one of them?
Australia's team, I'm telling you, is one to watch out for.
Okay, you tell me that there's only going to be 2 teams in this whole thing you're going to have to watch every single year. And that's it. Come on now.
Might want to watch
At least now in hockey, we have a chance of other people doing something good because the NHLers are not in there. Even though Canada's still going to win gold, there's other teams that you can be like, I have no idea who these people are. Let's see how good they are.
But that's a different topic. We'll talk Olympics later.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for me, yeah, the Olympics won't stop me from watching the XFL, to be honest. I mean, for some people it will. And, yes, the Olympics gets 4 to 5 million people watching it. But I think if you're smart and you can play around it, maybe in those 3 weeks, he did say you want to be faceted in how he displays his product. And to me, the smartest way to start going is to start like streaming it outside of cable TV. So the mobile devices, the mobile streaming to me is the new avenue for TV. I'll say in the next 10 years, I don't think cable TV exists, just for the fact that it'll exist, but not a lot of people will use it just because it's cheaper it's cheaper and more convenient to buy streaming services in which I can watch the games whenever I want, than to say, hey, I got to record this and record that, or if I can't record it, I got to watch it at a certain time. And so it's cheaper and more convenient for me to do a Netflix, a Hulu, and to me, Facebook Watch is really a big thing in the market for social media in terms of how you present stuff, because it allows you to put up as many episodes as you want at the same time. You can go live, though the live part of it doesn't really work that well, as the Mixed Match Challenge has showed us. Because once it gets to a certain amount of viewers, it sort of just doesn't work. As week 1 showed us, because it got to about 100,000 and like it crashed. But I mean, that's a question he'll have to address, just for the fact of he may lose some viewers, but is 2 weeks rating in the middle of the season something to worry about? I don't think so. So
just thought of something else I had just had crossed my mind and throw it out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a concern, and I think the business mind in both of us think of these weird topics to talk about. But just one thing before we end the show: if you had to pick a major sports distributor like Fox or CBS or NBC, if you had to pick one that you would want to see XFL on, which one would it be?
I would probably say, I mean, WWE's relationship, I know this has nothing to do with WWE. NBC has always been good to them mostly, and there's a lot of NBC Universal televisions you can broadcast it off of. NBC, NBCSN, CNBC, MSNBC.
True TV.
True TV is CBS.
You're right.
Or Turner. I don't know. It's on for Turner.
It's
yeah. Fox would be a really cool one, but at the same time they do broadcast NASCAR, so
Yeah.
That'd be tough. I mean, you could put on FS1, FS2, but that's what NASCAR does. They'll split between Fox and FS1. ESPN would be a good one because you got all those channels. I don't really know what I go with. I'd say probably CBS because I don't think CBS really has besides the NFL, they don't have something on Sunday for sports wise like Fox does, baseball and NASCAR.
I think CBS is the one who handles March Madness.
Okay, so they do split that between CBS, TNT, TBS, and True TV.
Yeah.
But besides that, I mean, there's really nothing else.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and I don't really think many of the March Madness games are on Sundays. I feel like they're more.
I'm sure there's a few of them. I'm sure there's a few, but I don't think there's enough to where it would make much of a difference.
Because I know, like the big games, the Final Four games are weekdays, and then the championships, I think, always on a Monday.
Yeah. So I mean, there's plenty of opportunity, and even if not, you can put it on CBS Sports Network. You can put it on a TBS, a TNT.
Yeah.
Something different that hasn't been on for sports in a while, or hasn't showcased sports in a while, or it's never showcased sports that a lot of people would get. And that's where I think if the interest is there, then that's great. At the same time, I think you need to watch out for scheduling conflicts, see what works, what doesn't work, and see what people have, and obviously what works best for people. But if you're looking for big network television, I would say CBS probably.
I agree. As long as Tony Romo doesn't announce, I'll be fine. I would say for me, I think Fox makes the most sense in terms that they have the most money, but they do have NASCAR to deal with. So I don't think Fox. I mean, Fox probably does have interest in it. I'll say ESPN might, as much as I don't like the network, but I think they'll try to take advantage of it, try to get the ratings, and they have the capital to support it. Though Sunday nights, I don't think they really broadcast anything out after football or NFL is done. So ESPN or Fox to me would probably be the best two. I think another thing you can try to do is try to use like two different services and say like, hey, we'll have two. We'll do like, okay, the West Coast games, if we have West Coast teams, can be on this network, and then the East Coast can be on this network or something. You don't have to show all the games on actual cable. You can, again, mobile stream them. But I think it'd be interesting for them to, as they tell more details, for us to find out. And we'll see in 2 years if it works or not.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a good time for Vince to be doing this. And, I think that the opportunity's there. And it's given him 2 years to really fix whatever the problems happened before, get it right, and see what makes of it this time.
Absolutely. And I think Vince, at least from his press conference, he's shown that he's learned a lot from the first time. And it's always said in the business world, you learn more from your mistakes and your successes. And I think he's really learned from it. And I think whereas he focused on the entertainment last time, I think he really focused, hey, you can be entertaining, but if you don't present good football fans won't watch. So I think he's really focused on that. And if he can deliver that, I think it'll stick. If he can't, it won't. I mean, the last time showed you if you can't, because the entertainment factor can only last for so long before it gets boring again. So if you can't present good football to football fans that'll stay and watch the league, it's not gonna last. So we'll see. I'm hoping I at least hope that we hear some news about potential cities by July, August of this year. That way we can debate that. I mean, even if it's lists of like 20 cities, fine with me. But
Sure.
we'll see how it is, and what the next few years bring, and hopefully at this time in 2020 when the league's getting ready to open up for week one, hopefully it's a good turnout. I'll expect week one to be a good turnout just because I don't know if you watched the advertising for it. It's really good. Though the intro song for the league, the way the promotion, it sounds exactly like 2K18's promotion. Go and watch that. It sounds exactly like it.
Interesting.
So I think he got the same person to make the videos. But
Save money.
Vince is good at marketing products, just like he's good at marketing Raw 25, only to disappoint us. No, I'm playing. But he's good at hyping up his projects. If he can deliver, it'll stick. If not, it'll be another
flop.
Another flop. But hey, you live and you learn.
Don't be afraid to do anything.
Yeah. Hopefully, if it does succeed and he makes it like 3 seasons, he says, "Hey, I'm gonna focus more on this. Triple H, you can own WWE." And hopefully we can get some good product there. But thank you all for watching Outlaw Sports Network. In this episode of Unhinged on the XFL, we'll see you probably next week to discuss the Royal Rumble and our thoughts on it. We might post something live. We always plan on doing a live stream, but I always fail to do it.
We definitely have to do it for the Royal Rumble because with Raw 25, you just didn't know the segments and stuff like that unless you had the rundown sheet. But I don't know if we won't do the reactions for the actual matches like the Universal title, WWE title, SmackDown title matches for both the women and the men's. Maybe after each countdown, do a reaction, and then once we get to the final 4 or final 5, we'll kind of live stream there and see what reactions are for that. That'd be something.
Yeah. I'll probably on my phone just record all the, like when the countdown starts, record it and then record for like a minute, and then I'll make a big video.
There you go.
Instead of live streaming those reactions, just make a big video. And yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Shall be interesting.
Yes, sir. I'll probably, my own little individual thing if I started my little sports countdown. Ain't nothing happening in sports, so except for this XFL thing. So I might not do a show on Monday. No, I'll probably rant over Roman Reigns winning. No, I'm playing. Next week will be dedicated to the Super Bowl. Because it is Super Bowl week. And just a quick plug in real quick. You live in Myrtle Beach / Conway / that area of South Carolina, turn it to your local Fox station probably Thursday or Friday because I'm going to be on the news.
They didn't say what time, did they?
No, he didn't say what time. But
of course. So it could be somewhere in the morning, the afternoon, or evening. We have no idea.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of the show. If I did, I would let you know. But
did the guy even give you his name or something?
No. He didn't even have me sign a waiver, so
who's to know? Maybe it was fake.
Though the dude for Fox that we met at WrestleMania didn't have a sign a waiver either. So
that's a good point. And he was real. So
yeah.
Brian Walters is still really cool.
Still have his business card, but
Brian Walters over at CS or Fox Sports Mid Atlantic.
Yes, sir. So again, check that out. And if you do watch it and you find the link, please send it to me. I want to watch it, see how retarded I look in a wheelchair. And with that said,